Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to embark on a deep dive into something I think almost all of us secretly struggle with every single day. We're talking about that invisible, heavy force that just keeps us glued to the couch. I mean, how many times have you woken up totally determined to change your life, promised yourself that today would absolutely be the day, but then when the time actually comes, you just hit a wall? You feel this massive weight in your body and end up doing absolutely nothing? Well, today we are going to completely deconstruct this hidden frustration.
Have you ever actually stopped to think about why this happens? Like, why is it that you can spend hours, literally hours, just mindlessly scrolling through random clips without even noticing the time pass? But the second it's time to take that first step towards something that could actually transform your future, you just freeze? It feels like there's a giant magnet pulling you in the exact opposite direction, right? You literally feel it physically. It's that overwhelming sensation that just getting started is like climbing an insurmountable mountain.
We live with this wild, stark contrast in how we spend our energy. Look at one side of the scale, completely frictionless digital consumption. Scrolling on your phone is basically like breathing. It takes zero effort and it demands exactly zero courage. But then on the other side, there's this colossal resistance. It is a literal internal war just to open a textbook to study, throw on your gym clothes, or sit down and actually focus on your work. Why does the easy stuff flow so fast and the stuff that is vital to our growth feel so incredibly painful?
This stark difference in our attitude causes most of us to carry around what I call the weight of guilt. You know the feeling. You spend years suffering in silence, looking in the mirror and telling yourself, man, I'm just lazy, or I have zero focus, or I guess I was just born without determination. We firmly believe our real problem is a severe lack of discipline. And this belief, it creates an endless, destructive cycle of self-condemnation. You don't take action, you feel guilty, that guilt totally drains your energy, and so you fail to take action all over again.
But okay, it's time to completely flip the script in your mind. What if the problem was actually never your lack of discipline? Seriously, what if the true villain of your story isn't an absence of willpower at all, but simply the exact way your brain has been secretly trained over all these years?
The absolute crucial point here is understanding our own evolutionary biology. Look, your brain doesn't wake up in the morning philosophizing about how to help you achieve your biggest dreams and grandest ambitions. It has a much, much more primitive mission: survival. And for thousands of years, surviving meant figuring out the absolute fastest way to spend the least amount of energy to get the highest possible reward. Essentially, our brains evolved in battery-saving mode. Burning unnecessary effort out on the African savanna meant death. So your brain isn't trying to hold you back. It's honestly just trying to protect you.
But here's the catch. The modern world has completely hacked this survival system. Today, we live surrounded by instant pleasure factories. In a matter of seconds, you unlock your phone and get a massive dose of dopamine and reward. Social media, endless short videos, ultra-processed foods, cheap distractions, they're everywhere. So slowly, without you even realizing it, you've trained your brain to believe that any activity taking more than, say, 10 seconds to generate pleasure is a terrible, dangerous waste of your precious energy. And this leads us to one of the most liberating concepts you will ever hear: the myth of motivation. The vast majority of people live completely paralyzed because they bought into the idea that the logical order of things goes like this. First, you feel an overwhelming desire, a burst of divine inspiration, and only then do you take action. But the reality of the human mind proves the exact opposite. The real truth: action is what actually creates the motivation.
There's a brutal, honest truth about this that we all need to hear. Waiting to feel motivated to start something is like waiting to feel thirsty before you start digging a well. Think about that for a second. If you wait for the perfect burst of willpower to magically knock on your door so you can begin that project or stick to that diet, you're going to spend your entire life stagnating. The action literally has to come first. You have to cut through the wind. And hey, we aren't just talking about philosophy or self-help fluff here. This is pure, hard science. The term for this is neuroplasticity. It's the incredible physical capacity your brain has to literally rewire itself throughout your life. When you take action without actually wanting to, you break the spell. Your brain suddenly realizes, oh wait, this difficult new task isn't a bear trying to devour me. The danger alarm turns off, and the brain starts forging brand new connections to make this behavior so much easier in the future. Think of your mind like a massive, dense forest. If for 10 years, every single time you felt stressed or bored, you escaped to your phone, well, you've carved out a massive, comfortable, paved highway right through that forest. Now try to carve a new path, like, say, studying after work. In those first few days, there's tall grass, heavy rocks, branches cutting your skin. It's obvious that the new path generates absurd discomfort, while that old trail is incredibly inviting and super easy to walk down. So how do we actually carve this new path without just giving up in the first week of hacking through that tall grass? We need to bypass our brain's alarm system. To do this, there is a very simple golden rule, a practical, everyday strategy that we can literally use starting today to begin clearing this new mental trail. Let me tell you the story of a guy named Lucas. Lucas always bought language books and planned these massive, heroic study marathons every Sunday night. And of course, by Monday, he failed completely. Until he inverted the logic. He decided that step one would be studying for just 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes? It is a goal so incredibly small that Lucas's brain didn't even bother to sound the energy expenditure alarm. There was literally no room for excuses. In the first few days, it didn't seem like much. But over time, that friction completely disappeared. Those 5 minutes naturally became step 2, 20 minutes, which very soon transformed into step 3, 1 solid hour of deep, focused study. But here is the real magic. The profound transformation wasn't just about him learning the language. He began to build a completely different identity. Lucas stopped being that frustrated guy who merely wanted to study. Action by action, just 5 minutes a day, he proved to himself that he was now a man who studies every single day. He changed who he was on the absolute deepest level. And this is exactly where we need to destroy the illusions of winning. We look at successful, highly disciplined people and we think they're somehow robots immune to human feelings. We buy into the illusion that they never feel lazy, never feel the paralyzing fear of failure, or never get the urge to throw it all away and just go to sleep. Total nonsense. They feel the exact same weight you feel. The brutal difference is that they simply learned not to negotiate with those fleeting emotions. There is a fundamental principle of the mind that is absolutely crucial to understand. Grand transformations don't come from heroic, loud decisions. Your brain is basically a meticulous accountant. It does not care about your grand promises for Monday morning. It doesn't even measure results. It measures repetition. Every single time you take that tiny first step, the first push-up, the first paragraph read, you are sending a silent vote of confidence that this new action is part of the brand new you. Look, we can't escape the reality of the discomfort of change. Have you ever noticed this super curious phenomenon? The more you avoid and postpone a task, the bigger and scarier it seems to become in your mind. If you put it off for a week, the task feels twice as heavy. After a month, it feels like the end of the world. This doesn't happen because the task itself changed, but because you literally trained your brain, during all that time, to associate that specific task with fear and escape. You have to act before the excuse is even created. All of this serves to destroy, once and for all, the biggest lie you have been telling yourself all these years. That phrase, well, I'm just like this. No way. Nobody, absolutely nobody, is born stamped as a chronic procrastinator. We aren't born without discipline. All of these behaviors are just patterns you learned by repeating constant escapes over time. And if neuroplasticity teaches us anything at all, it's that everything that was learned can and absolutely must be unlearned. Because at the end of the day, every single day of your life, the real war isn't against the distractions of the outside world. The battle is totally internal. It is a direct conflict between the version of you that begs for immediate comfort and the version of you that dreams of building an extraordinary, better future. Both of them inhabit your mind simultaneously. And you know what? The version that wins this war isn't the most brilliant or the most talented. It is simply the one you decide to feed with your small actions today. So, the next time you're faced with what needs to be done and you feel that immense, crushing urge to give up or grab your phone, I want you to remember this fundamental rule. Discomfort is not a glitch in the system. That feeling of heavy resistance is not a sign that you're failing. Actually, it's the exact opposite. It is the physical, undeniable proof that your brain is actively forging new neural connections. The pain of starting is literally the biology of change happening right there, inside your head. And so we've reached our final destination for today. Because right at this exact second, as you listen to the end of our conversation, your brain is changing. Neuroplasticity never turns off. It's always running. So the provocative question I want to leave etched in your mind today is simply this. Is your brain changing in the direction you really desire? Or are your daily actions just strengthening the version of you that you desperately want to leave behind? The choice of the very next step is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.